Selected. Okay. Anyway, I would make a much more high quality video if I had the resources to, and I might have the resources available to me, but I don't know how. And I don't know what resources I would need to make a much more well put together video. I might make one in the future, but for now, I want to explain solver or sin. This is one thing, of course, there isn't a concrete answer. It isn't directly answered in the show. But I think I've got it figured out. I think that sin is the evil one. Well, I gotta do drawing, retention. Sin is the evil one, while the solver is merely neutral. Because a lot of the time, people will think that sin was innocent and was merely the first victim of the solver. I don't think that's the case. I think that the solver is completely neutral, and sin is just evil. Now, my evidence for this comes in a few points. First up, its name. This in yellow. It is the absolute. That is not good. So it doesn't matter that I don't. It also doesn't help that I'm on like a desk that the mouse doesn't track very well on. Okay, the absolute solver. Man, I wish I could just have like graphics and background footage playing, but can't do that. Anyway, this I think is a key ingredient in understanding what the solver is its name, right? The absolute solver, or the solver of the absolute fabric, the void, the exponential end. But I think it's these two words that are the most important. The absolute solver, the solver of the absolute. What is the absolute? The absolute, to me, kind of just means everything. The universe, right? This is, oh, that's great. Anyway, the universe. The universe itself is the absolute fabric. Space-time, the fabric of space-time. Just everything is the absolute. So what would it mean to solve the absolute? Right? Because absolute solver could mean solver. Oh, that came out nice. Of everything. So I'm interpreting this as the absolute solver takes the universe and everything, and it converts it into an equation. And its goal is to solve that equation. So, let's say that the entirety of the universe, when converted into a mathematical equation, is 1 plus z equals x. Don't know why I thought so hard about that. Now, how would you solve this? Well, clearly x is equal to z plus 1, blah, blah. The easiest way to solve this would simply be to get rid of z. Now x is 1. Simple. That, I think, is what the solver wants to do. If you tell this thing to solve the absolute, it's going to start trying to eliminate variables. So let's say every single human is a variable. Getting rid of them makes the universe a lot easier to solve. That is why the absolute solver destroys things, to simplify the equation, in my opinion. Of course, I'm getting all of this based off of the Absolute Solver's name. I'm inferring its entire motivations. So, the Absolute Solver is a program that was tasked with solving the Absolute, so it destroys things. Pretty simple. Therefore, Solver is the evil thing, because the Solver is the thing destroying, right? Solver is evil. Wrong. If the Solver was the one destroying things, things would be destroyed much faster and much more efficiently. Because we've seen that the power that the Absolute Solver holds, the power that its hosts can wield. If the Absolute Solver itself was the thing destroying things, it would just be destroying things. It would not be sadistically playing with its food, as like we see Sin doing, right? It wouldn't chase someone around and mess with them for fun. It would simply just go around destroying everything to simplify the equation. Because that is its goal. Its sole purpose is to solve the Absolute. This is why I think it may not be fully to blame. It may have influenced Sin in some way, but I think it didn't force Sin to destroy anything. I don't think the Solver can act on its own. Hence why it needs a host. It may tempt its host to destroy things, but it cannot force them. An important thing to note is in episode 4. In episode 4, of course, we got Uzi. This is going to be Uzi. Oh, this is not good. Okay, this is Uzi. They get their spooky wings, and they start killing people, right? Why did it do that? They start killing people. They're dead. So sad. This isn't Sin, because although it's been a little bit since I watched the episode, if I remember correctly, Uzi's eyes don't turn yellow in this. They remain purple simply with the Solver symbol. That's the Solver symbol. This, I think, is kind of the most we see of the Solver forcing its host to do something. Uzi was about to overheat and die, and so the Solver basically just started yelling at them to eat people so she wouldn't die. Because the Solver dies if its host would die. Right? Now, of course, we see Uzi is still definitely conscious in there. It's more of she's acting on an overwhelming urge. An urge that can be resisted. If she were to give in to this urge, of course, as we see, she starts killing people, eating people, blah, blah, blah. But the moment she hurts in, she snaps out of it. And clearly, this isn't Sin's doing. Because whenever Sin controls Uzi, her eyes turn yellow to signify that Sin is in control. But if the Solver isn't evil, how do we know Sin is the evil one? Well, 2 points. Firstly, if the Solver isn't the evil one, that leaves Sin as the other acting party. But how do we know for a fact Sin is the thing behind all the evil? For example, controlling Uzi, destroying the planet, controlling Nori and destroying the planet. This is where Nori comes in and the patch. So, of course, we don't know much about the patch. So, the patch is just, it's a crucifix, USB. So, USB. Right? We don't really know how it does what it does. But an important thing to note is that Nori, who's going to be, I'll do red for the Nori here can still use the Solver. unless this is some sort of whatever it's called, where you misremember something. Mandela effect? No, I think that's a different one. I think. Either way, from what I can remember, again, I have this issue. I don't like claiming things because I'm constantly worried I'll be misremembering it. Nori here can use the solver, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, Nori being able to use the solver means that the patch doesn't simply disable the solver. What I think it is that Sin has a connection to these hosts of the solver, and the patch severs this connection. So the other hosts still have the solver, but since the solver isn't the evil thing, it's Sin, and they are freed from Sin, since Sin is the central host, that is what the patch does. The patch, let me get like an arrow here. The patch breaks, that is not an arrow. The issue is this desk, honestly. It's got like little cracks in it that mess with the tracking. Anyway, the patch severs this connection. Now, why do I think this? Firstly, we know that Sin had no knowledge that Nori was even still alive, because the connection was severed, and Sin interpreted that as Nori dying. Either that, or when Nori was killed by a murder drone, Sin just thought they were dead. Either way, they couldn't keep track of Nori, because this connection had been severed, because the solver itself is not evil, but since Sin was the original host of the solver, then they have a connection to all the other hosts, right? So if we get, like, these are other hosts of the solver. These are other hosts of the solver, right? We could kind of assume that the solver simply originated with Sin, and then these people are infected with the solver taken from Sin, right? Which is why Sin is connected to them. And this is how Sin is able to control them and, manipulate them. Things like that. The patch, its goal was to cut this connection so that these drones could then assist humanity in fighting back against Sin, because the only thing that can stop the solver is the solver. So humanity seemingly knew that, and was trying to create their own drones with the solver that Sin couldn't control using the patch. But they ran out of time. Now the important thing is, we know Sin can go to the planet. We know Sin can send the murder drones, all this stuff. The murder drones are also another reason that I think Sin is bad. The solver wouldn't keep pets. If the solver is just a computer program meant to solve everything and is attempting to simplify the equation, why would it keep certain variables alive for its own entertainment? That's a Sin thing. That's a Sin thing. Murder drones. Let me make a murder drone here. Make a murder drone here. This is N. He's got. This is N. Like the metal wings. There we go. Murder drones are a Sin thing, not a solver thing. So, Sin is the evil one, in my opinion. The solver is simply neutral. It may influence its host towards destruction, but it cannot directly force them. Because if the solver was the evil one, it would have destroyed Copper 9 long before the show takes place. Because what we see happening with like Nori and Elliot Manor and all that stuff, I believe canonically takes place roughly about 20 years before the main show. So, if it's been 20 years since the Elliot Manor massacre, the Gala massacre, all that, and Sin still hasn't just gone to Copper 9 and destroyed it, why not? I think the reason why not is because, I'm gonna go to Pan, Sin is just going from planet to planet, taking their time, messing with everyone. Send down the murder drones kill people, by the time Sin gets bored, then Sin goes down herself, eats the planet, moves on to the next planet, sends down the murder drones. When Sin could just go from, I'll draw this like up here, could just go from, these are all planets. Sin could just go from planet to planet, explode them one after the other, right? Or Sin could make the murder drones able to use the solver, and since they'd be under her control, just go blow up multiple planets at a time. But instead, she goes from planet to planet taking her time for fun, because she's evil. Now, the solver could have caused her to be evil, but the solver itself I don't think makes its host evil. Sin, maybe as the original host of the solver, had a moment like Uzi in episode 4, where they started eating people or something. Maybe they killed one of the other worker drones, and then they enjoyed it. Because we see Uzi does not enjoy it, and says things like, I'm a monster, I'm gross and eating people and stuff. Sin, it was like, that was fun, and then just keeps killing people. The solver may have started it, but the solver could be responsible for Sin turning evil, and it's certainly what allowed Sin to act on these evil tendencies. But this is why I think they are separate. I believe they are separate entities. Sin is the evil one. The solver is not the evil one. Solver is its own thing. Because the solver would be more efficient in killing things and destroying stuff, wouldn't keep pets, all this stuff, and that the way the patch works, where drones that have gotten the patch still have the solver, doesn't line up with if the solver was the evil thing, because how would they still have the solver? I mean, again, we don't know what the patch does exactly, so it could just be the patch unevils the solver. Ultimately, we don't have a concrete answer to the solver or Sin debate, but I think the solver is merely a neutral party that's along for the ride, in a way. Sin utilizes its power to enact maybe its will, but it can't force Sin to do this. Sin merely does it because she wants to. Uzi is able to resist the solver's influence, but Sin, as the central host, is able to control Uzi as seen. However, Uzi maybe was able to resist it in the finale because of the patch from her mom. Either way, it also just seems Sin can't just completely control someone, because Uzi was only controlled during moments of extreme emotional distress and stuff. So by keeping calm, power of friendship, I don't know. I think about this a lot. I just walk around in circles in the kitchen talking to myself, explaining this over and over again, constantly refining my theory, finding new evidence if I ever rewatch the show, where I go, wait, that might be evidence towards, sin. I just thought, test out OBS, do all that. Just do this, This will be a good test. So, at the time of recording this, I'm currently halfway through replaying both Subnautica games. Just because of Subnautica 2 coming to early access. So, if I haven't finished already, you might be able to catch me doing a live stream of Subnautica, if that interests you. I don't know how much overlap there is in the Murder Drones and Subnautica fan bases. There's probably overlap. Don't know how much. Don't know how much eldritch horrors and robots match with Thalassophobia. I feel like I'm missing one of my points. But I'll definitely make a better video on this in the future once I have figured out more stuff. For now, here's my full whiteboard. This should explain everything. I don't even need to say anything. You can just look at this and completely understand my theory. I keep postponing ending the video. I think I'm just going to upload this completely unedited. Just to upload it, honestly. See how people react. See what the retention is. I like talking about murder drones. That could just be what I do. I just talk about murder drones all the time. Maybe I'll analyze the lyrics of Murder Drones Nerdcore. That's one thing I like doing. If this video even is seen by anyone, and on top of even getting views, if someone makes it to the end, let me know what you would like me to do with Murder Drones stuff. You want me to do more scuffed whiteboard Murder Drones theories? You want me to analyze Murder Drones Nerdcore lyrics? Anything like that? Honestly, it is up to whoever's watching this. Also, do you agree? If you have if I got something wrong, like if Nori can't use the solver and I'm misremembering, or if Uzi's eyes do turn yellow in episode 4 and I'm misremembering, then let me know. I'm completely fine with being proved wrong. I mean, that's what theory's all about. I'm not going to defend this with my life, and then if you show me evidence that says, actually the creator says that the solver is evil, not sin, I'll go, oh, guess I was wrong then. So if you've got more evidence, let me know. I would like to know. I need to end this. I keep postponing ending it. I'm just going to end it now. I'm just going to end it now. I'm so great at content creation.